What's up, YouTube? Welcome to more trades. Interesting moves today. We had a nice little dump today to the downside in all the stocks and the markets. Quant has made a small move. We had a big move yesterday that took us up about 9-10% from the value area low of this range. We made it above it. I was anticipating Quant to go a bit higher, at least to the value area high at around 121. We might still have that move, but we can see what's happening with Quant. Ever since that low, then we came up, formed a double top at the 200 EMA, came back up, retested it at a lower level at a Fibonacci retracement of about from the high to the low. Yeah, we wicked above the golden pocket over here. You can see over here. And we just went down again. At the moment, today, we did the same thing. We had a 10% move and it brought us down. Last time when we did that, let's try and see. We were right over here. This was the candle of the day. This was the opening of the day. It took us up about 14%, hit the 200 and came down. At the moment, we're doing the same thing. The problem with this is that it's very hard to predict, as the correlation with the dollar, the dollar hasn't moved much, so we're not sure, because previously when we had good moves from the dollar going up or going down, then we can anticipate the market going the opposite direction. But if I go back to the traditionals, we can see that the Dow Jones on the hourly had a small move down. It was a nice move from the top over here to the low to about 1% for that. And the Nasdaq had a bigger down move. Where was it? Over here. Right over here. The top over here, this was the move of the day, 2.6%, which was also a good move. And that's why Bitcoin reacted. On the other hand, when we look at the dollar had a move up, and the dollar is still attempting to break the 200. What you see over here, the dotted blue line, is just a projection of the possible movement of the 200 EMA. It's an EMA prediction tool, and you can put in whatever EMA you want to put in, and what you want it to be on default. You can change the settings over here, but I leave it on default and I put it the length as 200 EMA. I can look at other EMAs. I can look at the 50 EMA, or let's go for the 55 on the daily, which is an important EMA. So if we go 55 and daily, so until this is the dollar currency, let's go back to Bitcoin. Until Bitcoin can break the 55 EMA on the daily, which is right at around 17,378, there is not much reason to be bullish. This is just telling you Bitcoin is trading below its 55-day average of the price. So once we get above that, then we could say, okay, we might have a move up for Bitcoin. And even if we come up on this day, it will need to break above the 18.264, 18,264 to say that we're back into that ascending channel. The movement to the upside and down was just a fake out for the moment. If you haven't already, just hit the likes, greatly appreciated, and join the free Discord. Link is pinned to the chat. And yeah, it's a free Discord, and we could have some nice trades in there. So this is Bitcoin. I've been short on Bitcoin. I was short on Bitcoin 69K. Then again, I was short again at 40K. I've closed those positions as we're very extended to the downside. We might have some more downside. I opened a new short at around 17,150 and it's still open. I'm anticipating more downside. However, we are at a nice support. We were here on the 20th of December and we haven't broken down. Since the 20th, we are above the value area low of this range. So yeah, as you can see on the 13th of December and 14th of December, we attempted to break back into the value area low of the previous bigger range over here. And we were able to open a day above it, only to wick to the top of this ascending channel. From here, we took these 2 points and almost exactly only to bring us down the next day. And this was a bearish sign over here, if you call it an evening star or morning star, I don't know what they call it, but yeah, a spike to the high, a big long wick to the upside, are not able to follow through and bring us down. But if you look at the 4 hourly, you would see it as it looks like we're gonna move up, and it looks very bullish. Look at that on the 4 hourly. Let's go on the 4 hourly so you could see how it looked like on the 4 hourly on the over here. You see the spike rejection, we got support, and it looked like we're going to follow through a big green candle, another candle that goes even higher, then only to get rejected and bring us back down. So what I'm thinking about Bitcoin is that we still have more downside. My targets are the same, 14 to 13,200. Even the measured move of this flag breakout that I took from the breakout over here to the bottom, put it over here, measured it out, and it brings us down to 12,639. So far, Bitcoin has been following these moves. I mean, we get a bear flag after a bear flag and gives us measured move ever since 69K. Every bear flag gave us a follow through. This is valid until it's invalidated. And when does it get invalidated? At least if we're able to break above the 18.3. In my opinion, at the moment, looking at this on the 4 hourly, bear flag is still invalidated, is still valid, and we've broken down. But once, in my opinion, once the flag gets longer than the flagpole, that means in Fibonacci time, it's taking longer than it should, then we are no longer in a bear flag, but we could still move down, but we're no longer in the bear flag pattern. The flag is always shorter than the pole, usually. Now, we had this breakdown, we formed another flag. Now, how long will it last like this till it invalidates its move, or how high would it pump? I mean, if we can get above the value area high, then in my opinion, this flagpole might be slightly invalidated. We could have a flag still playing out, but I wouldn't be so convinced. I would be looking at other targets. Yeah, that's for Bitcoin on the target of the flag. I have Fibonacci channels over here drawn out, plotted for you to be able to take trades. Next point of support is very far off on this chart. I mean, excuse me. We have a green descending trend line over here. There's so many lines over here, but that was essentially it was resistance somewhere here. Now, if you look at the daily, it's a bit different, but on the 4 hourly or hourly, you'll notice there were 2 points over here where it was like resistance, and I was expecting to go lower, but we broke above, and that green trend line comes down at the moment. We usually could test these lines again, and it's as low as, oh, that's very low for Bitcoin. I'm not sure if Bitcoin will get to 2K, but yeah, that's for this trend line. We have another trend line that comes from the high over here on the 6th of October, and this other high on the 14th of October, which I expected it to be resistance, and we broke up. When we broke up, we went up. It looked like we're going to go higher, but only we formed a double top and had a big drop to the downside, and that's what's happening now. We're in that range. Now, looking at this other chart, Bitcoin with Fibonacci channels plotted slightly differently. We have support over here at the moment is at 14,964, 14,980. This is on the daily chart. Of course, it depends on when and where we hit this chart. So that's the 14K zone again. that I showed you in that support box that I have. And that support box is made of a Fibonacci extension of the drop from the high to the low. So that target, the top of the box and the bottom are just simply the 1-to-1 Fibonacci extension and the 1.618 Fibonacci extension. The 200 EMA on the daily comes down at around 17,383. So that's your macro target for the daily. The DXY, on the other hand, on the daily is not looking so bullish, but you can see this green candle over here tells you that we did not really have a decision, and we have support at around 104.152 for the DXY. Going to a smaller time frame, why I look at the DXY? Because the DXY is inversely related to the rest of the market. And we're struggling at the 104 for the past how long? We weren't able to break up to the 105 again, but that's at level 105.005. We're able to break above and get support. Then I see so much more downside for the market. Looking at the, before looking at the traditionals, let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum was above the 200 EMA and 233 only to break lower. And we are not forming any strong signals over here of a turnaround. Now let's look at the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA on the hourly. Essentially on Ethereum, this over here, this crossover over here, you see when the 5 and 13 crossed and they started expanding, that was your signal to go short. And now if I was a trader wanting to go short so desperately, I would have gotten in here on the retest of the 50 EMA. You can see it was a bearish retest that brought us down. And at the moment, we sort of formed a double bottom on the hourly. And if you go on the 4 hourly, you can clearly see that we also have double bottomed on the daily. Everyone's talking about double bottoming. We are at the value area low. We were at the value area low where we formed some sort of double bottom, getting rejected at the POC on the daily of this entire range, which is not bullish at all. We weren't able to get above it. We closed the daily above it. A second daily failed and brought us down. So this level would be 1217, is a big level of resistance for Ethereum in my opinion. And if we are able to get good support and close at least 2 dailies above it, then that could be a bit of a bullish signal if you're willing to go long. If you use the EMEs, the EME strategy alongside with the MACD and the stochastic, it works out very well a lot of the time. So let me just pull up the stochastic and show you how it works. I've explained that in other videos. And if you look at the MACD, now let's turn off the chart and look at just the indicators and look at when the 5 and 13. When you get a 5 and 13 cross down and the MACD cross down, no matter what time frame you're on, I mean the stochastic cross down and the MACD starting to show some weakness and cross down. Now I've put back the chart, that would be over here. Then that would be a good sign to go short. You would have gotten in somewhere around here. You get a cross, you get in the next candle, and you would have gotten a nice move from here to here. That would be a nice 12%. With leverage, you could make a lot of money with that. So that strategy is a very good strategy to use. Another strategy that I use is I look at overextensions. When the move is overextended, like this big move down, when it's a fast move down, then I know we're going to have a retracement of some sort, at least of 50% at a lot of the times. Solana, on the other hand, is still in that descending channel that I showed you a few days ago. Descending channels are a bullish pattern, but The next target for Solana in this channel is the 10.378. We got up there yesterday, got rejected at the 5 EMA on the daily. If you go to a smaller time frame, you'll see a different EMA, obviously. Over here, where was it? On the daily, okay. We didn't get up there on the hourly, but we were very close, and we got rejected at the 50 EMA, which brought us down. And now, this was your bearish candle. And you didn't have a bullish engulfing. You had another candle that took us up, another rejection, only to bring us down. So I see Solana, my targets for Solana go down to the 9.11 and the 8.3. I have targets between $5 and $7 for Solana. That is also a Fibonacci extension of the move down. So I expect Solana to go lower. However, the markets are overextended to the downside. Big money will want to take profits, and the only way to do that is to push it up and to stop smaller money. The US 100, the Nasdaq, is not looking too good. We are attempting to break our 22nd December lows. On the daily, we are on the value area low. You can see we got a nice little bounce over here, very close to the value area low. And we've been sort of respecting that, this value area low. You could see we've been touching it from 11th of October. So since 11th of October, we weren't able to open and close a candle below that. Once we break this level on the Nasdaq, which is at 10,796, and start opening daily candles below the 10,800, then that will be bearish for Solana and will be coming to reclaim even lower targets, I believe. So next, if we break this, our next daily support, if you break this level around 10,760, your next support, which looking at the chart, is this zone over here. If we break 10,760, we will come down to this zone for support around the 10, where is it? This zone. Sorry, if you break this zone, then you're coming down to this lower zone, 10,145 for the Nasdaq. At the moment, we are below EMAs. We're below our 50 on the daily, which is a bearish sign. We weren't able to get above the point of control to the upside, which was around 11,566. We got above it, but we weren't able to follow through. We were getting rejected at the 800 EMA here in purple. Let me get rid of these Fibonacci levels so you can see clearly. The 800 EMA that is coming down over here was resistance. So on the daily, our 800 EMA for the Nasdaq could be also major resistance if we even get there. The 50 EMA can play a role, like here we got rejected. As you see, the 50 was resistance over here. We could have the same thing happening again. We tried to break above over here, but failed also for the Nasdaq. Now looking at some interesting coins, I said I took a trade. I was telling my followers that I took a trade on the REN token. I got stopped out in a small loss. I decided to re-enter, and I finally closed in the 90% profit. I closed it somewhere down here. Where was it? Sorry, this is on the daily. So let's go on a smaller time frame. I got in somewhere around here after the rejection, and after that I got stopped out because I held the trade so long. Because if you look at the trade, we pushed up and I got stopped out, but I re-entered again and I closed today in some profit. It is going down, but hey, there's always another one. You will never know when the markets will follow through. We are holding the 50 EMA on the hourly, which could push us up if we're able to still hold it. On the 15-minute, a short entry essentially would be a rejection from the 50 EMA again. Now, if I take the stochastics to help me out with my trade, it's simple. You take the MACD and the stochastic RSI on the 15-minute time frame. You would see that we got a crossover on the stochastic. MACD is showing some bearishness on the hourly. You could have entered it over here. That would be yesterday. And at the same time, the stochastic was around here, so you wouldn't get much of a signal from the stochastic. Maybe if you expanded it, the stochastic didn't give you much of a signal, but the MACD was crossed over here before we entered, so you'd have your stop loss above the high, and there was a follow through. At the moment, bearish momentum is decreasing on the MACD. We might see a curl up, possibly come up, form a double top on REN token, and maybe continue lower. Looking at Litecoin on the hourly, we are looking slightly okay. It's not looking really bullish, but stochastic has more room to the upside. I'm looking at it that we might come up. MACD is trying to cross over bullishly. Hasn't done it yet, but we got our stochastic cross. You could play it both ways, to the upside, to the downside. Stochastic crossed. We are at the 200 EMA getting support, and we might have some expansion to the upside. We're still below the 50 EMA. MACD is trying to cross up. On the 15-minute, maybe we got a better signal. Over here, we got a stochastic cross. However, MACD was still expanding down. Stochastic cross pull us down. Another stochastic cross right over here at this stopping candle. But we might be over. We are already almost in the overbought region on the 15-minute. So the 15-minute can pull us down if we can't break above the 50. You see, it's testing the 50. So for Litecoin, I've noticed that we've been below the 69 for a while. Next zone I'm looking at is around 73.31, but we had this wick over here. So yeah, do we have any EMAs on the 4-hourly? I prefer the EMA strategy. We have the 200 EMA just above us at around $69. So just looking at this, I don't see any bullishness. I mean, we're forming a rounding top. We could come up, fall a double top, or an inverse cup and handle to push us down. So something like this. We came up. Now we might do something like that, retrace some, come down, and then you would get your measured move from the peak over here of this to the bottom over here. And you could say we could drop on Litecoin to $64 again. So this is not, in my opinion, this is not a bullish setup, but it could push up. Quant on the other hand, Quant is getting really rejected from that zone that I gave you yesterday. I was telling you, if we can get above the 114, then we could see the 116 and possibly the 121, where we have the POC. And what other EMA do we have up there? No EMAs on the 4-hourly or daily. The the POC, there's no EMA there, but we have our point of control over there, which would be an interesting point, the 121 to 122 zone. If we can even get there, that would be very interesting. I would love to see Quant get up all the way to this golden pocket, a retracement from the 132 zone to the bottom. It was to this. Now if I bring it down and I adjust this to this peak, you can see that we got rejected today exactly at the golden pocket. So using fibs, using EMAs is a very good way to trade. You could anticipate moves. You could be waiting for the move. So you would see that the golden pocket over here coincides with the 800 EMA on the hourly. And if you go on the 4-hourly, it's the 200 EMA. So that would be a very good point to short. You would have caught that short today. Now it looks like we're having a bearish engulfing candle, and if it releases, Quant can easily come down to yesterday's low at around 106, 109. And if it holds us, that was a level of resistance. So if Quant is able to come down to the 109, it could easily push up. It doesn't have to go all the way there. We have the 50 EMA over here coming in at around 111, 112. We could say just 112. So we could have some sort of support, a bounce. Let's look at this token, clay token. Yeah, nothing bullish here. I like to look at max gainers or max losers. It's the start of the daily candle, so you won't see much big numbers. But if you look at them, sometimes you might see like GBTC, Solana dropped about almost 2%. Sometimes you see a coin that's gained a crazy amount. That's why I entered the REN token short, is because REN token was up 30% for the day. And I decided, okay, that's a good point to short since it had this extended move to the upside. I never traded it, but I went on Binance, my app, and I was looking at the biggest gainers, 24-hour change, and I noticed that REN token was up 30%. Was it from here? It was yesterday. Let's just measure that. No, actually, it wasn't this candle. It was the previous candle, and I noticed we've gone up 30%, and I was like, okay, this is a good coin to short. It's overextended to the upside. Looking at the daily, this is not a bullish setup. You might have a bull flag, yeah, but and these are stopping volume candles. That means momentum to the downside is slowing down, wanting to shift out, and this was the move. But looking at this candle with a wick up to the 50 EMA cloud, we couldn't even get to the 50 EMA center line, and we got rejected. Now we have this daily candle. Our resistance for REN token for today is the open of this candle at around, the open is around 0.07077. Going back to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is holding a level 16,680, which is important. If we're able to hold this level, then that is essentially your daily, I think it's daily support. No. But it's a strong level, 16,680. The last 4-hourly candle opened there and tried to follow through. The next candle is not really, it's struggling to break below, but it's sort of an indecision candle. Look at that. But I'm telling you, we'll have a move soon incoming. We were very tight in the range and we are starting to move. So if you are wanting to take a long or short at the moment, it's not a point to short unless we push up. The resistance for Bitcoin is around 16,900, but we have the POC at 16,800. But 16,950 is a resistance for Bitcoin. 16,968 was this wick high. We weren't able to break above over here. This zone over here. once, twice, and over here we wicked above on the daily. But you can see we tested it 3 times, and the more you test the zone, it might break. But you could say the same over here. Tested once, tested twice. Are we going to break on the 3rd time? We tested it here and we broke it over here. We closed below it only to bounce back very hard to the upside. If you did enjoy this update and this analysis, be sure to hit the likes, subscribe to the channel if you like to, join the free Discord, and yeah, see you in the next one. More trades, I'm out.